Call to order the Parks Committee for September 22nd, 2025 at 4 p.m. at the Weston Municipal Center. If we could all stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Clark. Here. Ermeling is absent and excused. Easter.
Here.
Lopez Serraro.
Here.
Pedro.
Here. Item number 4, approval of minutes from the previous meeting, August 25th of 2025.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 5, public comments. I have 2 public comments. First one from Jim Pincinel.
Good evening, Jim Sentinel, 50203. Thanks for the opportunity to address this committee. Since there are new members of this committee, I wanted to do a little trip down memory lane in regards to our ongoing Kennedy Park project that could possibly maybe have great benefits one day, but not likely in my lifetime at the current blistering pace that fundraising is not happening. This project was created over 2 years ago as a result of the state mandate to do a core comprehensive outdoor recreation plan. From that plan, the idea to improve Kennedy Park came about. Parks Committee did a lot of listening sessions, asked questions, and did their due diligence. The guidance from this body and the Board of Trustees, which followed, was clear. We cannot spend the estimated $15 million to complete this project utilizing taxpayer funds. There needs to be an outside fundraising group who spearheads this. As a result of that, the Friends of Kennedy Park Group was created. It was made up of primarily Little League Baseball, but included softball, hockey, and perhaps other youth sports groups who would benefit from the improvements at the park. It took months for this body and the Board of Trustees to complete and execute a memorandum of understanding with the Friends of Kennedy Park. But that document clearly outlined the responsibilities of the Friends Group to fundraise for the construction and ongoing maintenance expenses for the park. Sadly, the fundraising has not performed nearly as successfully as planned. But why? Why has this project fundraising never gotten off the ground? Let's explore a few things in more detail. An ask letter, basically a letter asking for folks to donate money, was to be drafted. 2 times so far, Administrator Gabert has said that this was completed. In the minutes of September 23rd, 2024, we heard the revisions were completed. Then again in January 7 of 25. Gabert again states that the ask letter is complete. It is now 9 months later, and letter is still not mailed by either the village or Friends of Kennedy Park Group. I'm not a scientist, but I think that for the ask letter to be successful, it needs to be mailed out and read by others for consideration of a donation. Just keeping it at your desk drawer and not sharing it with others has not yielded any donations to the project. This project has also spent taxpayer dollars to hire 2 different consultants to guide the Friends of Kennedy Park. The first one quit after months of disengagement with the village and Sarah Olafson, and then left all the work product for the second guy. We have video and notes and all kinds of good stuff, but none of it is being used. Why not? The second consultant worked with the group to complete a strategic plan, a plan which has not yet been used or followed by the Friends of Kennedy Park. There is no marketing being done, no website, no Facebook page, no TikToks, nothing. Just a few dinners around town and 1 small sign at the park. Clearly, this has not created a measurably successful impact on the fundraising efforts. During this process, we the people have been gaslighted by Administrator Gabert to think that we have seen over $1 million raised. This is simply not accurate. Taxpayer money should not be called raised money. A majority of the $1 million she keeps referring to came from ARPA funds. Dollars which were fundraised by the Friends of Kennedy Park are nowhere near $1 million. Please clarify tonight for all of us specifically how much money the Friends of Kennedy Park have raised. How much money outside of the gift from the Reject family has been raised. We as the taxpayers have put over $1 million into this project. This is not how it was planned out by this body. This is not how it was approved by the Board of Trustees almost 2 years ago. This was put to the public as the Friends Group was going to raise the money and we're going to build the park with private funds. This has not happened. It is high time that accountability and responsibility for this is taken. You claim to be transparent in your operations, yet so many things happen which are quite the contrary. Thank you.
Next up, I have Jamie Wyland.
Hi, my name is Jamie Wyland, 7010 Janelle Street, former trustee and chair for Parks. I want to piggyback off what Jim Incinel said. There's an ask letter that's been sitting for over a year now, and the reason given is that they don't want all of it to go out at the same time as the hockey ask letters or other letters. But really, when is the right time? It's already been over a year. I also remember that Sarah Olafson and Friends of Kennedy Park mentioned that to me that as soon as the village puts in the first dollar, the ARPA funds of $766,000, the first donation, securing outside funding shouldn't be a problem. I also don't believe any of the grant requests have been approved at this time either. The reason the village and the board agreed to hiring a marketing firm was because we didn't want all of this to fall on one person's lap. Sarah Olafson said, at a board meeting, you can all understand, we all have full-time jobs. And that's exactly why the board approved hiring marketing firms. But to reiterate, the marketing firms ultimately quit this assignment due to disengagement, not one, but two. There's also a website created by the second marketing firm, but Sarah and Jim Olafson had said not to publish it because they don't want to manage something else. They also didn't want to make a public announcement, but suddenly the time was right and it just wasn't right when I suggested it. Additionally, all of these same concerns were raised by Dino Corvino, another Parks member who resigned. He expressed his concerns verbally during a board meeting, but he was later brought in to be scolded by Jamie Gabert and Brett Maloney, the president. And that's all I have for you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Does anybody else wish to give public comment? Is there anybody online for public comment?
No one came off mute.
All right, and do we have any written comments?
No.
Okay. Item number 7, update on Kennedy Park renovation and capital campaign.
So there is a RFC in the packet, along with some pictures of some of the progress. So the two fields, the turf is done. Final inspection was completed last week, right, Michael, last Thursday? Yeah, Thursday. So lights are installed on the first diamond, which should be the south diamond. They're installed, not complete, but there's 4 lights installed. And the contractor is on site and they did pour the bases for the lights on second diamond. They're also there to do the scoreboards. So they're moving along. Talked with the irrigation contractor today, actually. They'll be on site Wednesday this week to install the irrigation for the old fields on both fields. And there'll be 5 zones on each field, isolation valves, quick connects for watering, as we requested, which is part of the contract. So just making sure we're on the same page. When they come in, they have no issues with that. So as far as the Kennedy Park renovation expenses, revenues, those are also included as far as what has been taken in and what's been expended so far. We do have a pay request currently from the general contractor, which will be made. And we also have a update as far as some of the stuff that's been going on with the Friends Group. So the gold tournament is scheduled for the 28th of February. So that'll be a fundraising event. The restaurants total was $29.95.40. Baseball donations besides the 25,000 also donated another 10,511.65. They have submitted 2 impact grants, 2 additional ones, 10,000 and 100,000 one, and then the reapply for the impact 100 grant. They do have additional donors interested in the lights for Diamond 2. And there are people that like to see more money raised also, as you know, before they donate.
Softball, Sean went and talked to the softball association a couple weeks ago too. They're gonna be making at minimum a $10,000 donation. And with the Glow tournament, the Friends group did secure a $30,000 commitment towards the lights. And it will probably be previewed as part of the advertisement for that Glow tournament on who that donor is, but they do have an additional $30,000 commitment towards the lights on that field, so. And with that, the goal for getting, their next goal is getting the 160,000 needed to put lights on field 4. And then I know they're gonna be doing cleanup at the fields this weekend after the summer-long events, getting stuff packed up and cleaned out, and so we're ready for spring. And I did note in the RFC that we also have a meeting upcoming with the school district at the end of this month to talk about scheduling for next year.
Great. Does anybody have any comments or questions on that?
The only other thing that I know we've talked about in the past, if there are Parks members that have someone that they would like to ask, just reach out to me and we will schedule a time to sit down with Sarah and we can do a specific conversation based on who maybe you have a relationship with that you would like to ask, if there is one.
By ask, you mean seek a donation?
Or in-kind donation, or if it would be a sponsorship for the Glow tournament, if you think that would be appropriate, depending on who the individual is that you may have a relationship with. It's also possible that someone within baseball has a relationship with them. So that's why I say if there is somebody that you'd like to coordinate and ask with, we'll sit down and have a conversation about what's the best way to make that happen.
And not asking the same person.
Yeah.
Multiple times.
From multiple angles.
Has that ask letter gone out?
It is all prepared. It's mail merged. There is someone within the baseball organization that's working on both the ask letter and the Glow tournament letter. Because baseball felt like there are some people that may be more appropriate for a sponsorship or a basket, something that would be a commitment towards that versus a larger donation. So they are all prepared, and my understanding is they will be assembled and in the mail shortly.
Okay, I guess I do have a couple
Yeah.
comments myself. Just because I feel like we've kind of been left with this in a lurch with this project. The two people that were really moving it forward or really involved with it, really had a stake in it, aren't here anymore. And so I quite literally spent this last weekend going over meeting minutes from the last 2 years when the project started, because I will be honest with you, like a lot of this kind of went past me because I wasn't the one doing the meetings or coordinating anything with the Friends group or whatever. So I took the time to refresh myself on all of the things that happened. And I'm disappointed also. I understand that the fundraising is a 10-year goal. But if you break $7 or $8 million down into 10 years, we're looking at $750,000 a year to raise to meet the project at the end date. Thankfully, the Rajek family has offered up this money, which is a fantastic donation, but without them, we are a long ways away from hundreds of thousands of dollars for this project. And at this point, there have been so many attempts with the marketing firms to get material to the Friends of Kennedy Park for them to use, and literally none of it is being used. Nelson put together a Facebook page, a website, like TikTok, like everything is ready to go. And while I can appreciate
we all have full-time jobs and things to do, like, they committed to fundraising. And we put in a ton of money as a village up front for this project, and I feel like we have been jilted by this group really not giving us their all. I feel like they attended meeting after meeting after meeting up until the day we put money in to this project, and then they disappeared. They are nowhere to be found. And again, the ask letter, just the ask letter, like this is the one thing that keeps coming up over and over again. But it was in our notes twice. On 7/28, it said that it's going out within the next 4 weeks to coincide with construction that's going on. Then 8/25, it's going out within the week. And here we are in September and it hasn't gone out. And this is just the repetition of what's been going on. And I wonder at what point do we, I don't know. I don't know if we stop the project, after 2 fields, is it put on hold until they can raise more money? Like, I would be willing to meet with these people and like try to revitalize this project, but at this point, I feel like it's going nowhere. And I really don't know what to do about it as a committee. Because I feel like it's dead in the water, and I feel like we sold a story to the public, and lots of public were very interested in seeing this project go forward. And most of the money that's been raised has been taxpayer dollars, which is what we said we would not use. And I don't know how this project goes forward at any certain pace without more commitment from the user groups raising more money. They're just, I mean, I have a list here and I'm not gonna go through it because it's like beating a dead horse of the items that we were told were going to happen at some point in time, and they haven't. And so I don't know. I'd like to hear from somebody else in the committee or from the village, like how do we make this go forward? Because it's such not a good project at this point. There's just a lot of negativity all the way around it.
Can I just ask, I'm gonna turn to Michael, so I apologize for putting you on the spot, Michael, but one thing that I feel Michael has that we don't have is, I don't believe anybody else here necessarily is part of the youth groups that have said they would step up and be a part of this project. Michael does have children that are in those youth groups and is attending those meetings. Sean has attended some of those meetings for softball too. And I don't think it's unfair to say that the youth groups don't feel that way. They aren't feeling that same negativity around this. I think that's somewhat important to share, like the youth groups that have said, we'll organize the Dine for the Causes, we want to sell banners, we want to be a part of this, aren't feeling that same negativity.
I guess, yeah, I agree with that. I mean, there is the part of, you know, the fields are getting built now, so now, you know, there is more chatter, you know, there was I go back to when I was in high school 20+ years ago, there was discussion of a sports complex being built where Wassa Supply is now on Commerce. There was talks of a sports complex across from our Ryan Street site. So I think before people actually saw construction, this was another one of those dreams, you know, where Tommy Doc's is, that was supposed to be a sports complex 10 years ago. So I believe there is that part where now all of a sudden people are realizing, oh, okay, this is reality, that something is moving forward. You know, I was at the baseball meeting last night. The organization pledged or will be donating another 15,000 for the fund. My indication is that there are other donors that you know, want to help out and kind of see that there is work being done in the background. So the Glow tournament and other events that the organization is looking to put together will, I think, keep the interest there and keep people moving. You know, again, it's, you know, I hear, you know, thankfully the Ray Jack family stepped up, but you know, it's not that, I don't think they came out of the blue or like all of a sudden, hey, I want, you know, so there were conversations that were had with them prior to them saying, yeah, I'll pledge money, so, you know,
Through the Friends group.
through the Friends group,
Yeah.
correct. So, you know, I hear that it's hard to hear when there's like, oh, luckily they stepped up, but they stepped up because they were reached out to, because they were somebody that was talked to as part of this project, so there are efforts going on, and I know one of the discussions we had when talking with the Friends of Kennedy Park is how do we do this in a way that is open and transparent, so everybody knows this is going on, but at the same time, we're not having, you know, company X sitting here and saying, hey, we need you to donate $500,000, we think you have the money to do it. You know, when you're asking somebody for money, you don't want this list published saying, here's our targets, and you know, all of a sudden you're on that list and you're like, oh, I'm a target, somebody's looking for, ask me for money. You know, cause we are, as the village, a public entity, so anybody could ask us, you know, open records requests, can we see who your donor, you know, list is, who are your targeted people that you're looking for? So I don't know how you know, that's one of those things working through, you know, softball, hockey, they had some turnover on their board, so, you know, working with them, making sure they're still in. So softball, I understand is gonna be putting in 12,500 from there. So between baseball and softball, that's what, about $30,000, with then another 30,000 from the donor for the Glow tournament. So we're getting close then to half of the light cost. So, you know, a few more events, and that's where we'll be at for next year.
And we said after the first two fields that when funds became available, we would continue. So next year, if we get the lights up, we will be grateful for lights, and if we can do more, we'll do more. But at this moment, we'll continue as funds become available. And I know I understand the patience of that is, we all want to see the project done, but I feel, the only place where I feel the negativity is here. And maybe if we were more positive about that, that would reflect more positively on the Friends too. I don't want that to come across negatively, but they've done good work.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, from the outside, not being a part of the Parks Committee until recent, and it's my own fault for not knowing more about it. You know, it kind of came off like this project, we saw the great videos and the plans and stuff, and you kind of think like, okay, this whole thing's getting built, but you realize it's actually chunks of that whole project that will be built as funds become available. So I'm glad to see that there's progress. I hope there's continued progress. I also understand that fundraising is hard, and it can be a exhausting task. And I would just hope that if the Friends are struggling within their group, that they reach out so that we know, because there may be people that are interested in being a part of that organization who feel that they can reach out to contacts and stuff, so that they can keep progressing, because it's important that we keep pushing forward.
And I think they would. I know Sarah would reach out if she needed the help, and I think softball would reach out and hockey would reach out. I think we've certainly good connections with baseball and hockey, and I feel like softball would too.
Being that I'm more or less the new kid on the block, shall we say, do we wanna invite those groups here and just let them know our frustrations and find out where they're at in their fundraisings? Just so we know and they know how each other are feeling about this. You know, hey, we want more monies coming in. You know, are you planning? What are you planning? So we have some idea, maybe some more reinsurance for us.
And we have had the Friends group did attend the last two meetings for sure, and beyond that, unfortunately, they couldn't make it tonight. And they do let us know if they're gonna make it or unable to make it. But you wanna go back to, they have kids, sports, they have jobs. But they did send an update to us, you know, just make sure we know what's going on as far as fundraising, events, etc. So, I mean, they are working on it, and like Jamie and Michael both said, they're very positive that things are moving forward. Yes, there may not be $1 million every year, but they are working on it. They didn't stop working on fundraising. They're working on it all the time. I mean, I met with softball 3 weeks ago or so, you know, and they're in a good place. They were in a bad place for a couple of years. They got new leadership. They're finally, you know, they have some funds available, fundraising, et cetera, is good. You know, leadership that's moving forward, you know, and with any sport, youth sports, any board, you're gonna have turnover. And then your vision could change. So that's why we have a memorandum of understanding with the Friends Group, so they know the expectations, we know the expectations, and then we can keep moving forward with the process.
Anything from you, sir? All right. Katrina, do you have anything else?
I'll just say that I'm not trying to be the Debbie Downer. I'm just the only one, well, aside from Roger, like, I feel like that is the link to what the history of this project. And I feel like we don't have any link to the fundraising efforts that are going on at this point. Because they had, I will stand corrected, they were at the last meeting. I wasn't prepared for them to be at the last meeting. So questions I would have asked, I wasn't even prepared to, because I didn't expect them to be at the meeting. So I guess that's on me not being prepared. But I guess if they think it's going well, then we're gonna leave it at that. I don't know what else to do, and we'll just see where the project goes over the next year. And
We communicate with them all the time. I mean, it's not like we're not communicating, like. We know what's going on. You know, we attend meetings. To the baseball board meeting last night. I was at the softball board meeting 3 weeks ago. I mean, we are communicating with them all the time, to see where things stand as far as where they're at.
And this is gonna be done phases, correct?
Yeah,
So-
it's all phased out, and
So if
We're not doing nothing.
somewhere along the line, we hold off on a phase for a year or two?
Yeah, well, and that's.
no, we're not doing nothing until there's money raised.
Right, so I mean,
So,
if all of a sudden this phase that we're in now, we pay for it, but we don't have any more monies coming in, we'd be foolish to go ahead and continue to the next phase, so.
yeah, we're not doing nothing. I mean, literally, it could be a standstill if we don't raise the funds to do the next phase.
The only caveat I put to that is infrastructure that's in the park that would have otherwise been our responsibility, we do have a commitment towards. If the bathrooms, the well, building, there are things within the park that would have otherwise naturally needed to be done, and we're not gonna discontinue any investment. Those things would have otherwise have to been worked into a
Correct.
capital plan.
so, Michael, actually, can you tell us where we're at with that well and building and bathrooms? Like, what's,
Yeah, so, I guess part of our water utility master plan, I think Sean has it in the CIP later on. So we're currently going through our PFAS, treatment processes for the water utility. So right now, wells 4 and 3 are, having a treatment plant update. Wells 1 and 5 are kind of right on the brink of, PFAS, limits. So if the EPA, my understanding is it was gonna be 2028. I think it got pushed to 2030 now when they'll be implementing those. So I guess as far as however aggressive the village wants to be, we can I guess initially I was thinking in 2028, we'd have to probably shut that well down and get the treatment works going. We potentially could wait until 2030 now if that regulation is slid back, but so as soon as that happens, no matter what, we'd be having to do work on that well. We've got the old parks shop, the warming house, the park office, so I think just that whole corner, the village as a whole, we should be cleaning up and taking care of, so.
wasn't that originally, I mean, I don't wanna say originally. Didn't somewhere along the lines we talk about doing that in 2026? Or am I,
It might have been at one point, yeah.
okay. But it's not necessarily, like, it's not coming down the pike next year.
Yeah, I
at this
mean,
point.
so Bladel Avenue is slated for reconstruction next year, which will have a raw water line created. So that, you can, so we'd be able to at least get water to and from, well 1 to well 5, which is on Bladel. So, so that'll be in place, so it's ready and set up.
Okay,
So they're gonna centralize the treatment for both wells at one location.
yes.
So all the Verde will go to Plato and it'll all be treated there.
I think I've got that straight in my head.
Okay.
I think it's interesting when projects like cross departments and
Oh, we got,
You might be
we
talking
got a
about
lot
it.
of that right
Right.
now.
you might be talking about it at other meetings and it doesn't make it back here because it doesn't necessarily directly impact what we're doing at the moment. And so I appreciate you taking the time to let us know where it's at.
Yeah. Yeah, so like, that 200,
2 point,
that's well
26.
3. So that's in 2026. So it says well 3. So if you scroll down to, I think like 2028, maybe. Go to 29.
right there, yeah.
Yeah, well,
Five
1
down.
and 5. So, okay, I put it in 29 right now. So I guess as we talk about Kennedy Park too, so I mean, that's a $5 million number slated. I mean, but about 2.5 of that is, you know, Kennedy Park costs. So I guess that's part of it too, is, you know, when we talked about that 14-15 million dollar number, and there were costs in there that aren't even necessarily general tax dollar costs, they are utility costs or something else.
Anything else? All I would say is overall, I'm pretty inspired by the project overall. I think it, you know, everything goes the way it should. It's gonna be a tremendous asset for our community. I happen to be in Franklin, Wisconsin in the last month, and I don't know if you've ever seen the baseball complex they have down there, but
Did you go to the Rock?
the Rock,
It's up on the hill,
no, I missed that.
different one, okay.
But they have that baseball complex where I think it's the Milwaukee Milkmen play or whatever.
Yeah, so that's the Rock, sorry.
Oh, okay, sorry. So, I wasn't there. I was just staying at a hotel next to the facility, but I'm like, holy cow, and there was a game going on, so I just drove over there and looked at it. And I'm like, this is really cool. I've never even heard of the town of Franklin until I was in that town. And then I saw this complex with their flags and I'm like, this is really cool. And I think it's inspiring for a community to have something like that. So I think it's important that we, you know, keep the throttle going and we keep progressing in the right direction. And as long as we have motivated people involved and they keep engaged with us, I think we can keep going in the right directions. All right. We will move on to the next item. Item number 8, update on improvements at Yellow Banks launch.
So there is RFC in the packet along with some pictures of the newly installed dock. Right now, I mean, the curbing's done, literally waiting for pavement markings, and finishing up the landscaping around it. They were doing some landscape prep around it last Thursday. And it was pretty much the only dry site we had today. That wasn't underwater. It actually drains very well, which is good. I drove around this morning and I'm like, nobody's gonna be doing anything today because everything had water standing, but
Yeah.
Yellow Banks parking lot was good. So, I mean, final grading, pavement markings, and then landscaping in that project will pretty much be completed. So, staff got to go down there during the install, so we were trained to some extent on installation removal. But if you see it, the ADA accessible ramp on the west side is completed. The east side is complete. That's not ADA accessible. The dock was installed and I mean, if you see the pictures, there's somebody fishing from it, literally. The day of installation, just took the pictures, by the way, it wasn't me.
That guy wasn't helping with installation, he was fishing off it already? Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, so. I mean, and one thing that, you know, that I missed, but the Marathon County Transportation Coordinating Committee approved funding for the entire dock at 40,540.50 at their August 7th meeting. I mean, it was before our previous meeting, but I didn't have an RFC as far as an update. And we have received the check, correct? And we haven't received a pay app request for that project yet, I don't believe. Michael's thinking. I haven't seen one yet, so,
I think I got it on Friday.
okay. So, I mean, if you get a chance, take a walk down there, I mean, just the view being out there, I mean, if you've seen the pictures, it's like. I'm like, I want a kayak now. I don't have a kayak. I'm like, I want a kayak. This is pretty cool. So it'd be great to see somebody actually use it. We do have a coworker that has a kayak. Maybe we'll stuff them down it.
I have some pictures of us kayaking one. Using it.
You do?
You had a big crew at the Ross,
Brooks and Ross Dam?
at the launch. Were you guys doing river cleanup? Okay. Yeah,
Which Jamie and I will talk more about that coming weeks.
I don't know how to use a chainsaw.
That's our discussion, funding discussion. Actually, I've got a meeting with Josh Finke online. Fire chief.
I do need 2 more thank you cards for donations that we received towards the landing, so I'll just pass those around. If you can sign below the fold. I did send a thank you card both to the county board chair and then to the transportation coordinating committee. And I just included some pictures to say, just so they could see the results of what they had helped to fund.
And everybody's been very generous with this process. The only thing that we caught was when we published it in the newsletter was we noted the wrong Kiwanis group. But Clay actually reached out to me today as far as getting a photo op with check when Kiwanis comes in. So I think we referenced as noon Kiwanis, it's just Kiwanis of Wausau, right?
Yeah, I don't think noon is in the title.
Right, so he just reached out right before the meeting, actually. Just to clear things up, do a photo op and get it out there, so.
How many grants did we get for this in the end?
You want me to count right now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5
Did
grants.
you write them all, Jess?
He did most, he helped me with almost
Yeah,
all.
so she wrote the GNR grant, which is 48,000.
Yep, the first one.
And then Kiwanis, Weston Marathon County Parks Foundation, that's him. Impact grant, that's you. And then combination, just attending the transportation committee, coordinating committee meeting with Dan and Jamie.
So Dan gets a lot of the,
Kudos.
Well, I want to give kudos to both of you then. That was,
MTS threw in the engineering for free and we did the surveying and I think that PGA, I haven't seen the billing, but I know that we were significantly less than other contractors.
indeed they were, yeah.
But that is your relationships, so thank you for.
So what Jamie and I are gonna be talking about, is the project's overfunded now, which is a good thing, but, you know, we've been down the river, I've been down the river three days and 3 times in the last 6 days. And there's some issues that we can't clear up, and especially for, handicapped folks, we're a little concerned about a couple of issues, and so as part of this transportation coordinating committee's, grant, they said, well, it's fine if we give you money, but what happens 2 years from now when people can't use the river because it's not navigable? So we're trying to, I'm trying to put something in Jamie's head and to try and develop a sustainability fund that would be, monitored or utilized or coordinated by the community foundation, where we would be able to transfer some of these monies from these other grants into a sustainability fund, because I'm sure that I've got a guy that I've got in mind who has a pole skidder that this, in November or December, may be able to pull a couple of the trees out of the way that are, there's a white pine that honest to God is 3 feet in diameter and still has the root ball attached to it, that is in the middle of the river downstream from this. You can sneak around it on one side when the water's high enough. But right now the water, well, before this rain, the water was low enough where you couldn't get under it and you couldn't get next to it. So if you can attach on with this pole skidder and just pull the tree a little bit out of the way so that you'll be able to get around it. But yeah, that, it's a 3-foot diameter white pine that's probably 60 feet long, that's above the river. The bottom of it's above the river about yay far, so you just can't quite get underneath it. And the top of it's like this high above the water. And then the root ball's there. So it's a challenge. Nothing that I want to get on with the chainsaw, put it that way.
So that's something that you would do, like, for, how would you determine like where you would?
So we would hope to utilize the sustainability fund to pay somebody, and where this tree is down is actually on the Girl Scout property or adjacent to the Girl Scout property.
Good, I'm glad it's not mine.
Well, it could be access to your site. That's gonna be a little more.
We can
difficult
work with
access.
you about that if you need to.
Yeah, but we've gotten really good relationships with most of the landowners now, like Scott Turner, his guys worked with me last winter off the ice to do some clearing. And
Okay.
so and we've gotten quite a few different guys or ladies that have all volunteered to help do some clearing. So we've got a core group that's real excited about helping and have a good time doing it. So yeah, need some power equipment though periodically, and so the sustainability fund will help pay for that. The money can grow, and if there's something else, I've got lots of ideas, so maybe I'll live long enough to fulfill most of them.
How does it work with the Girl Scout property is probably a unique example, but so the tree is on somebody's property, but it falls into the waterway. You can cut what's in the waterway, but how do we just contact the property owners to see if we can access their property cause I would assume the tree is, part that's over the river might not be theirs, but whatever still could be theirs if they wanted it.
It's on the shore, yes.
And like I say, I think for the most part, we have real good relationships with everyone. There was a tree on a bend that was between Camp Phillips, or between Ross and Camp Phillips, and it was right on the bend, and I thought, it was an oak tree, and it was really nice tree. How in the world are we gonna get that out of there? We were able to clear a little bit of it, but we started the chainsaw, and the landowner came over and she you try and ask, you try and be nice, you try and do a good job, so hopefully it will be sustained for a long time. And I appreciate all of your help in getting things put together.
I want to see those pictures, by the way.
Yeah, I can send you a couple.
Not right now.
I'll text a couple of them here.
Only with you in it though, so.
Well, I greatly appreciate your efforts. I love kayaking down that area, and I brought up at the last meeting that I had a friend who went out and she's pregnant and she got stuck at a tree. So here she, being very pregnant, had to climb out of the kayak, try to get over this tree and stuff. And I didn't know that tree was down in that area, but it'd be nice to make sure we keep it open.
Yeah, especially, it's I see it as kind of a village responsibility, because the village is building these landings and encouraging people to come to the river. So, I mean, I don't consider it like a village need, but it's something that they can hopefully cooperate with the landowners. I just got a $150 bill from the Power Sports today. Well, you take your chainsaw out there and it's kind of, I went out like a week ago and it was working just fine. And then I go out last Friday night and it's not working so well. So I was afraid I might have to replace the whole motor, but it was just the hot chainsaw doesn't like the cold water.
Ooh. I wouldn't think they like any water, but.
No, cold water especially.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Anyway, yeah, things are good.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else on that topic, the Yellow Banks launch? All right, we will move on to item number 9, update on Yellow Banks disc golf course.
So this item has unfortunately, Katrina's gonna just look at me and say, what are you guys doing? We're not doing nothing, right?
Yep.
So it's,
Slackers.
what's that?
Slackers.
Slackers, yeah. So unfortunately, and not to make excuses, but multiple projects going on. It kind of fell by the wayside. Just got back on top of it and we've been talking, she got updated cost estimate on the mats for crossing the pipeline. And then she contacted Crystal for updated costs on the basket refinishing. And then I actually got a cost estimate to have somebody come and assist us with some of the work, just because the disc golf group, you know, I mean, they used to go out there and do it by hand a few times a year. It's gone beyond that, where there's so much buckthorn, so much brush that you can't just go in there and do it by hand anymore. There's a lot of trees that have to be removed, pulled out. And there's some of the stuff that we could do on our own, but it's really just time and staff that has been unfortunately restricting us to some extent. Like, I mean, Kennedy Park, Yellow Banks, Schofield Avenue project. We have multiple projects that are intertwined. Kelly Land's going on, which is not really Kelly Land, it's just Fuller Street project. So, I mean, we've had a lot going on outside of Yellow Banks. So we've been talking about it. We need to start doing some work again out there. But the estimate I got was $3,900, so $1,300 a day, depending on how many days it would take for them to do the brushing. But so we have a couple options there. We've talked about the mats, the berming, to get equipment off of there or over the pipeline. But a lot of the pipeline you can actually cross without doing anything to it, depending on the piece of equipment. So it's just giving them the specs on the piece of equipment, so the weight, the track length, if it's tracked or if it's wheelbase, and then they can determine if you cross it safely without actually doing something else to it. So the goal was to mat it and berm it if we need to, so we can cross with pretty much anything instead of having restrictions on it, because they might want to be on site when you do the work too. All depending on what you're using. I mean, when we did the project in the Conservancy, they were on site the whole time. We literally did it with one piece of equipment because they didn't want to approve some of the other equipment we wanted to use down there without berming it. So she's well aware of this because they do have a huge berm over the top of the pipeline, so they can go over there with anything pretty much. So yes, definitely progress has been slow on it. We've been in contact with West Area Disc Golf, and you know, we're kind of renewed to it, but we know that it's going to take time.
Any comments or questions?
She's got a whole bunch.
I will, because this is my love project, because we live next door to it, and I think the thing is just such an eyesore, and it could be beautiful. And we've done all of this work to our own river bottom area, so I know very well the work that's involved and we have the equipment to do it. Sean does know that we volunteered our equipment and our time to help move this project forward. And in fact, I was talking to Dad recently, and he suggested perhaps we could do something over the winter when the ground is frozen. And maybe we could maybe there could be one access point and we could get a lot of stuff done. And it would be during a time when the village doesn't have a lot of other outside stuff going on, but that we could do a lot of the work, you know, with some minimal supervision, I guess is my point, is that it wouldn't require a lot of input from the village if we could lay out areas that the disc golf guys wanted.
Just
mowed,
ribbon it and
brush.
then you know where to go and.
Yeah, right, and then once the ground freezes, then obviously, depending on if snowfall and whatever this year, but it was something that we were actively discussing and thinking, maybe we could get that,
You've offered multiple times.
we could
Yes.
get it done this winter.
We're well aware of that.
So that's just, the offer is still out there. If it's something that we can coordinate. And we also have contact with the pipeline on a regular basis as well. And so I think between the village and the pipeline guys and us, I think we could really get something done to move the disc golf forward. 'Cause I drove past it yesterday and man, you can't even see the trails down there at this point when you drive past it. And it's just yuck. It could be so much nicer. It could just be so much nicer. And then if you can mulch it, we could potentially do it more than once. You know, like 2 or 3 years in a row, because that stuff, if you cut it down, it comes back with a vengeance. So it would likely need to be done either several times or done in conjunction with some brush killer applied to it in the spring so it doesn't grow, that kind of thing.
We're done.
There's my thoughts.
We're done.
Yeah.
Buckthorn though, if you cut in the winter will that help to make it dissipate, the spread dissipate? It doesn't matter. It's not, the cold doesn't bother it. Okay, got it.
Actually, you prefer to do it in the winter though.
I know it spreads like crazy.
You can spray it in the winter too,
What else you can use on it?
so.
It's release goats on it.
That's what I was gonna say, just
Get-
follow Weston.
get
Get the goats, bring the
The
goats.
goats would be lots of fun, but they also cost money. So I'm offering for free.
Wait, the brushing, not the goats, right?
Yeah, we don't have goats.
We could get them.
All right, any other questions or comments on that?
Yep.
Then we will move on to policy issues, discussions and recommendations. Item number 10, discussion and or possible action, Rothschild Schofield Aquatic Center joint venture request.
So just following up from the last meeting, I had just put the excerpt of the conversation that we had had with the committee about if we did a joint venture. I think one of the big items that was mentioned was there was a request if there could be an additional pool for children that were birth to age 5, right? The younger kids, a kiddie pool. And we had that conversation last time that isn't necessarily something that the village would want to invest in right now. That as we would do maintenance or work, if that would be part of a plan, okay, but not something that we would want to do just because of this joint venture agreement. So there are just some proposed key components of what a joint venture would look like in the packet. These things are just draft. They're to get some pieces down on paper of what it might look like. But it would be a stipend that would be paid by the village of Rothschild and the city of Schofield to Weston. The number of $3 per capita was put out that it would be paid annually based off of census population numbers. And then it would increase annually by a CPI related to recreation commodities, but not to exceed 3%. And then if the communities agreed to do this, then the Rothschild and Schofield residents would be recognized as residents of our pool, because they would be a contractee of our pool. So they would get the resident price for any annual passes. And if the daily rate was increased, right now it's $5, but if it would be increased, then they would still pay the resident rate for Weston. They wouldn't pay that increased rate. So the ownership of the pool would still remain with the village of Weston. There wouldn't be a separate committee that would be formed to oversee that. It would still stay with here and with the Board of Trustees. And like I said, the decisions regarding operation, maintenance, and capital improvements then would remain solely the responsibility of the village. So this is also being discussed with Rothschild and Schofield have a aquatic commission, and then their respective boards, so this as preliminary framework is also being discussed with them.
Any questions or comments? Go ahead, Katrina.
Can you clarify, I got 99% of this, but what is the stipend could increase annually by the CPI for recreation commodities? What is that CPI?
This year it was 1.8%.
What's it based off of? Or like, where does the formula come from?
It comes from the Department of Labor, so it comes off of the cost that, things that they would, items that would go within recreational commodities, which I did not look at the complete list, but I would think would be things like, adventure equipment or things that would fall within indoor, outdoor recreation, how those sales increase year over year. So the Department of Labor has said recreational commodities increased 1.8% year over year.
So how long, if there's an agreement and so we at some point do build this and we have an agreement with them, is there gonna be some type of like 20, 30 years that they can't back out?
The original agreement would be for 3 years and it would auto renew thereafter. If someone would want to not be a part of the agreement, they would have to let the village know by October 1st, and then they would still be part of the agreement for 1 additional year. So it wouldn't be that they would end that January 1, it would be the next January 1. But the original term would be, it would be a minimum of 3 years that they would have to make the agreement to.
Okay. I personally think that it should be longer, but.
So I guess what if any investments are we gonna be making as a village if we're bringing them on?
Right.
Is there much that we're gonna be taking on other than saying you can now come here and be, well, do we currently say if a person's a resident or non-resident, do they pay different fees?
Not for a daily pass, but for an
For the
annual
annual.
pass.
Okay, so for us, would there be any difference in how we operate now and under this agreement other than just recognizing them as a resident?
There would not. No, not under this scenario. The only thing that may change, and I know when this originally first came up, that we had talked about that we may have to increase the daily rate because we would have increased use of the pool. We would need increased chemicals, increased staffing, those kind of things. If we were running at max capacity on a more regular basis through the time frame that we were open, so.
And we currently have a joint pass with their facility. So that allows somebody to purchase it and use both facilities. So we have had that in place since 2017, so eight years, 9 years.
We would need to have increased staff then for, lifeguards and so forth too, right?
It's possible. I mean, if you close a pool, you would think the other one that's a mile away would be busier, right?
I mean, hypothetically, you don't know that Schofield residents aren't gonna go to Memorial. Pool
Yeah,
or-
you don't know, you know, so,
If you're adding a pool, you're gonna have to staff that with lifeguard. Right.
but we're not adding a pool.
This is just to operate our pool as it is now.
Oh, okay, I was thinking you're adding the three,
No, I think if we would actually decide to move forward, like Jamie said,
okay.
when we're making future investments in the aquatic center, it's just an area we would want to
Oh,
add,
okay,
but it's not
my bad.
part of this.
So on the flip side, let's say we said, okay, we're not interested in a partnership and they do decide to move forward with closing down their pool. We would still likely see hypothetically an increase in people coming to our pool. We just may not be getting the investment from their communities to offset some of our costs. I guess it's hard to picture that in my mind, like, okay, how much revenue are we maybe losing by considering them residents for an annual pass, but then how much are we gaining because of all of those people coming? It may be negligible, it might be I don't know, my first instinct is to say, like, let's not do anything and see what comes, see if people are actually interested. But I do think there is a benefit to working with those communities if it helps bring some revenue into the pool.
And your X is weather.
Yeah, exactly. Which
You
is,
have a beautiful summer. Every day is perfect for usage of the pool and, you know, and you reach that max capacity on daily passes, right?
yeah.
That's wonderful. But then you have a summer where you don't.
And then you have Weston residents who are upset because they couldn't get in the pool because we've now opened it up to a larger population, but we just don't know how much that other population is actually gonna use it.
Can you get it extended further out?
We can ask. I mean, at this moment, that's why we brought the
Track.
bullet
It's a
points.
track.
Yep, so
Correct.
if you'd like to see,
I'd like to see 10 or more.
okay,
So, and bringing up the capacity issue, we only reached it one time,
Right.
this past season,
What is the capacity? I forget.
867.
867.
Yeah.
That's a lot of
Holy cow.
people, yeah.
That's a lot of people.
And it was one of those weeks, one of those days, it was so hot, like we had a line out and people waited in the parking lot for 1-2 hours. And they still waited to get in. 'Cause as people left, then we had people. We didn't just like shut the door
Yeah.
and then people left, as people went out, we added people to it. But it still took time but it only happened once this year, so.
So, to add to the conversation and to your point, Louis, the joint passes, I think that we currently sell. I mean, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head how much revenue we're getting on the shared passes, but I will say it's negligible, in my opinion. In comparison to, the potential revenue, if we're talking $3 a person per capita, and Rothschild is 5,000-ish people,
about 5,600, yep,
and Schofield is,
2,200,
okay, so that,
We're talking around 25,000.
yep.
I think that makes a big difference.
Mhm.
I mean, we're not selling season passes like that.
Yeah.
So, when you calculate the numbers that way, I think we'd be foolish to not go forward with some kind of deal with them. And I do think, we need to look at increasing our rates anyways. That was gonna be one of my end things, to add to an agenda item later. Because it's been quite a few years since we've discussed it and it's never a popular conversation, but like everything else, the costs continue to rise. And doing it maybe in conjunction with other things that are going on, I don't know, may or may not be a good thing, but is there a potential that we could also take over some of their equipment? Like, are there usable items, like umbrellas
There,
or chairs?
And
There is
it's
the-
not part of this.
yeah, I think it's something that, though, if you,
Would it be a separate?
if we wanted to ask that, let's ask that. Yeah, I do think it might, I mean, they might have things that still had useful life.
Yeah, that's what I was, right. And if they're gonna get rid of them, they can get rid of them this way.
Makes sense.
So what do you think of the current draft of the agreement?
The only thing I don't like about it is the potential of adding a kiddie pool in the future. But it wouldn't make me not go forward with I don't remember exactly where I read it, because I can't find it at the moment. But it was still, the wording was still there as a potential in the future.
I think it was the reference to the discussion from the last meeting.
Okay, then never mind. It's all good.
It would, going forward, anything that would be I would consider that a capital improvement, because it would have certainly a capital improvement cost that would come through if we wanted to put it into the plan and work it in.
Yeah,
I think what the agreement might say is there is an interest from the other communities to have it, but as the capital plan would allow it, that's when it would get completed.
It would be ultimately our decision.
It would be-
It's still our
Yep.
Do you have any concerns about doing a longer agreement, or I guess why did we start with 3 years?
Cause we had to start with a number.
Yeah.
So no, I don't have concerns. I mean, we'll see what the other municipalities, after they go through the same process that we are, what they say, but, I don't.
Yeah, so our other agreements at the Aquatic Center start with 3 years. So Wisconsin Beverage, session lease are 3 years. You know, so it gives you the opportunity to see how it goes, and then if you want to continue it. Versus just, you know, one and done or whatever it is, so. I mean, cause they could be unhappy after 1 year and then what?
They're locked in until the contract is done.
They can withdraw, they just have to give plenty of notice.
They'd have to give by October and then they'd still have to go
Another-
that next year,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Any further discussion? Otherwise, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion. The Parks and Rec Committee continues to be interested in exploring the partnership options with Rothschild Schofield Aquatic Center Commission, and staff should explore moving this forward. I don't know, what do you want me to say in the blank?
Increasing the minimum number of years commitment and asking for any items that would have useful life.
Staff should, okay, so to continue that, staff should explore a longer contract period, perhaps 10 years initially, and looking at any useful equipment.
That may have otherwise will be disposed of.
That otherwise would be disposed of.
A motion from Clark. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second from Tatro. Any further discussion on that? All right, with that in mind, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We are down to number 11, discussion and or possible action on the park capital improvement plan.
So myself and Jessica worked on partially a CIP list, partially a maintenance list. So CIP items are typically anything over $5,000. So put together lists for each park, the pool, etc. And these are just a starting point. We don't expect any action tonight. We want to further the discussion. We were definitely hoping to get further on it than we did. And mostly just, you know, getting the costs together so you have a physical dollar amount that each would cost. But I mean, it gives you an idea of what we're looking at each park. And I mean, if you have other ideas to add or, you know, priorities, for me, it was physically driving to each park, each location, and saying, this is what each one needs, and then moving on. I mean, and then, you know, like Prosca's completely a wild card because there's nothing developed with the exception of an entry road, parking lot, partially, and then, you know, just doing some brushing, et cetera. But we do have a master plan that was put together for that. So we know there's the opportunity for development there. It's just where's the priority for the village, the committee to move forward with that. So don't need to have a lot of conversation if you don't want, but if there's anything you have questions on, I just gave you the list, obviously right before the meeting. Jess added a bunch of maintenance items because she's been
It was
like,
just stuff that came to my head at that moment.
yeah, so literally as she's going over, especially the pool operation. She was going through stuff that we've discussed for a year, 2 years. And then, you know, she just was adding to the list. And she didn't probably see it till this morning, so she actually worked on it this morning before we went to the pool. And it's stuff that we know needs to be done, but we've also talked with Administrator Hebert about putting together like literally a 10-year plan for the aquatic center. Because we know we need to make investments there and we need to continue making investments. We've been making tons of investments there, but to keep a 27-year-old facility looking the way it does, we have to continue it, or we could be in the same situation, like we'll be looking for partners or something else. But there's just a ton of work, ton of maintenance. And it can't all be done with annual operating budget. CIP items, well, we did CIP items, we did slide refurbishing this year, we did the new wood posts. We had multiple projects there this year, as part of, keeping the facility up and beautiful, so. So any questions, anything, definitely reach out. Like I said, I don't expect you to actually have a lot to discuss about it right now, but you have something physical in front of you, and you can say, heck, no, we ain't doing that.
What is grow landscape?
Right of way.
Right away.
Oh, okay, thank you.
So if you see references for boulevards, medians, yeah, right away.
Got it. Makes sense now with all the items underneath it.
Yeah, so I mean, one of them is and it's not necessarily just parks, but it's also streets, is medians, right away landscaping, the brick areas around the hospital. We know they need work. So just make sure they're on our radar, and then we're planning for the future.
Can we, can we just highlight things that are maintenance? Cause some of the things on here, I don't know how much they would.
How about we highlight it
Yeah.
and then we'll send it back out?
Yes, that's what I mean for next month.
Because-
Highlight the things that are-
Sorry.
Because-
I
No,
was-
no, she was just putting everything on, and I told her, I said, CIP items, 5,000 and over.
Mhm.
But I don't know really what that is either, on some of the stuff.
Well, some of them, I'm sure, it's not 5,000, right?
Right.
But I'm not sure if like valve tanks, I don't know what the going price is for that right now.
No, she was asking me questions this morning. She was telling me, for the flow meter, 12-inch valves, I mean, we could pay over $5,000 for a 12-inch valve right now.
Okay.
Yes, still.
We love swimming pools.
Hole in and around, you throw money in.
We love them, but we love them.
So we'll highlight,
Like I said, some of them on there is just my random thought at that moment, doesn't really, it was just an idea.
Right. Budget start somewhere.
or we'll just bring you back the CIP next.
That works.
So one thing I've never understood, so the soccer complex by the school isn't ours, that's not our.
No,
No, is that owned by the school then?
Yeah.
Okay. That sounds cool. Yeah, no, I think this looks really good. I know we've talked about Prohaska in the past. I've used that a few times now and I really like it, but I definitely think that's one of those projects that we're just gonna kind of ease into, making improvements at, but otherwise hiking and fishing, like you can do all that right now and it's usable.
nobody else is there.
Yeah, it's very,
And nobody knows it's
yeah,
there.
I always feel like I'm
Yeah.
intruding on somebody's property when I go back there, but yeah, it's really cool. As far as, and I know this is a whole nother topic, but the temporary plan now for us to have the farmer's market at Kennedy Park. I see that there's talk about electrical, like some temporary electrical that's gonna be needed there. Until we make a decision about, a permanent future of the farmer's market. I don't wanna go into the whole thing, but I wanna make sure that for CIP, like right now we're.
Michael and I were on a meeting last Thursday and we requested a cost estimate to get the electrical from the current or proposed pedestal to a location for the farmer's market.
I thought Scott was just gonna do that.
Well, so.
We already had him on the phone.
And there is a path going in, so we wanted to make sure.
We didn't
that
wanna
We didn't wanna have to
tear it
dig
back
up
up.
a concrete sidewalk that just got poured, so
Got it.
essentially we said get beyond that point.
Yeah, just an estimate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not necessarily doing it, but.
Yeah, and the only reason I bring it up is because it's in here. If people see this, I don't want people to think like we're just moving ahead with investing in that site. Like there's still a lot of discussion about, but we know for next year, the temporary stuff we need to do, but.
Yeah, and literally that was it. We asked for a cost estimate to get it because, like you said, we don't wanna rip up a path that was just poured. Because we didn't do it at the time.
Yeah.
If you just put a stub of conduit in the ground, it's better than nothing.
That's all we asked
That's
for,
what I
actually.
asked for. The wiring, just this,
Yeah, stub of conduit, that's all you need.
'cause at the same time, the big field that would eventually end up going where that rugby field is would need conduit and likely fed from that same box, so. You know, whatever we do, trying to make sure it's something that could be used in the future too. So it's not just temporary, it's temporarily a permanent conduit, so.
You'll never be sad that you ran the ability to
No.
have things there, whether it's cameras or electricity or Cat5 or, yeah.
All right. Any other comments or questions?
Michael, did you want to share anything more about the draft plans that were in here for CIP?
I pretty much I believe I touched on the dollar amounts that are in there for parks as far as equipment and facilities. And there's nothing specific at this point.
Yeah,
Just general plan.
It's just general, yeah.
yeah, I was just putting a placeholder in there, so as we left room for things, and if those costs are low or need to be higher or whatever, it's, at least there's something factored in, so I think it was like 155,000 a year. Kind of factored in, which some years we may need more if it's a restroom facility or something that we want to redo, and maybe it makes sense to do a couple of parks at a time, or, but,
And one more for us right now, unfortunately, is $80 grand, so.
yeah.
All right. Then we'll move on. Future items, possible next meeting date, October 27th, 2025. Any topics for future meetings? Katrina, sounds like you might have some that you wanted to share.
Well, considering costs, prices, yes, right?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
talked about that last meeting,
Yep.
and I figured we would have final expenses for the year at this meeting, but then reviewing the prices for next year, for sure.
Yep. Yeah, I also wondered if we would want to consider a dog day at the end of the season. I know we've talked about it in the past. But I was in my researching pool stuff this weekend. They're really, I see a lot more of them than even when we talked about it years ago. And I know we voted not to do it years ago, but I thought we could revisit it.
They actually relaxed the code that allows it to happen now.
No, nice. See, it's time to reconsider it then.
She knows that,
To be
so.
clear, it would be allowing dogs in the pool on the last day, or
Yes.
last day of the season. Okay,
Yes,
okay.
and
After the last day of the season.
yes, right, and people aren't allowed in the pool, and then you do a big clean out. And I was thinking potentially, we could make it a big event with like the food trucks, having local pet related businesses come and put a booth up with their thing, like, I think it could potentially be a big community thing.
You're gonna run that, right?
Well, that's part of the consideration, right? Like, I know everything that we ask is potential work for you guys, so there's always, I never forget that. I've been on the committee long enough that you're going, right. So that was one, yes, increasing the pool fees potentially. Do we, oh, this was another question. Have we had any vandalism at parks? You don't necessarily need to answer that right now, but it was, on occasion you bring it up. And I just wondered, is it like something that happens regularly and we just don't talk about it because it happens regularly? Or,
For us, it's a day-to-day job.
right, that's what I'm saying, like,
So
so
it happens, yes, but you don't wanna hear about all of it.
not necessarily, but maybe like a once, fall summary of how
How many
good or
times
bad
and
it
where.
was, yeah. How much, I guess it would be in the
You
larger
could take a trip over to the
conversation.
skate park right now and look inside of it.
Well, the skate park is kind of a given. I think we should just give those kids cans of spray paint and let them go to town. I did not really just say that.
We'd have to lock them in the skate park though, cause then they'd
Yes,
spread the
right.
graffiti everywhere.
Right.
No, it happens, yes.
Yeah, but no, as
It
a,
actually got worse once school started.
that doesn't surprise me. I guess they're, because the kids are there more often and in the area.
Educated.
But as in the larger picture of, you know, kind of tracking things over the years, if once a year you could give us a summary of, you know, these are kind of the things that we see. We have people living in the restrooms or we don't, or, you know,
Well, I guess you haven't stopped at the disco course. The door's locked and they won't open it for you, guess what?
no,
It's not the first time.
yeah. So I just, as a bigger conversation, you know, cause I did assume that things happen and we just don't hear about it, but are there things, conversations we could have that would help mitigate some of these problems that we could move forward? I know we talked about cameras in the past
We
and,
internally discuss it, like if there's ways that we can, you know, like homecoming's coming up. Like we know that Kennedy Park bathrooms need to be shut down that night. Like, we know bad things happen that night.
that's
There's way
fantastic.
too many people in the park. So we literally will lock them up that night. I mean, so we talk about this stuff. It's not ideal. You have more people in the park than you've had for 2 months and all of a sudden you're gonna lock the bathrooms. Well,
Right.
there's a good reason to do it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
That's fair. Right. And then my only other question was, a year ago, when we were talking about doing pickleball courts at Mockmuller, we also discussed. I know you all hate that I went back over 2 years worth of meetings, I'm sorry. But we discussed upgrading the park shelter and the bathrooms in conjunction with a sewer extension that was potentially gonna happen. And so my question was, the pickleball courts aren't a go, but are we still talking about doing a park shelter bathroom upgrade out there? Is that kind of gone by the wayside also because our initial thought process for that park is kind of,
The sewer extension will happen in 2028. I think is what the Ross Ave project is listed as, so.
okay?
So the sewer line will go through there, so I guess whether that's something we wanna move forward with, I guess that was kind of the purpose, you know, infrastructure wise for water, sewer, streets. I kind of laid out what we have, you know, going forward, so now as parks, we can say, okay, now that these projects are kind of slated in a year, here's, you know, this is happening near the Mockmuller facility. Do we want to look at putting that shelter in? So I guess that was kind of the purpose of having, putting those together so we can have that more comprehensive look and it's not all fragmented.
Yeah,
I think it's definitely something to look at. Cause Mockmuller is our most popular for rentals right now.
Oh.
For park rentals, by far,
Yeah.
like beyond anything, yes. it's
No
popular.
ways.
I think it's the size of the park, the parking available. I mean, yes, Kennedy's a bigger park, but the parking available by the shelter where Mockmuller has that, it's just wide open. It's a great Tuesday night concert venue.
it is indeed. We should continue that.
So-
Put that on your agenda too.
So I mean, like, when we suggested, well, maybe we should move it to Kennedy, and nobody wants to move it to
No.
Kennedy because it's not the same site.
Yeah.
It's the perfect site for it.
Okay, well, I think we should discuss the improvements at Mockmuller again then, if that really is our most popular park for rentals. I think maybe that's something we should keep on the radar. Thank you. I'm done now.
All right, thank you. Gina, anything from you, gentlemen?
No.
All right. Remarks from staff?
So we are currently recruiting. We lost somebody to another department. Not his fault, not his fault. He went to the water utility. He'll be starting there next Monday. So we currently are in the recruiting process. We opened it up last Thursday, right, Jess? Last
Yeah.
Thursday. And we had 3 as of Friday, and then I tried to log on twice this weekend and Indeed was locked up, so. I'll look in probably before the next meeting, just to see where we're standing.
3 times.
I get locked out too many times or what? No, so I tried it and it basically said they were having issues and it should be fixed shortly. And I just kept trying it, and guess what? It wasn't fixed as short as I needed it to be, so I just moved on and, so currently recruiting, we'll leave it open for a couple weeks and then be looking to fill that position. We still have a couple other positions open, engineering tech, right? And a planner, maybe?
We're doing interviews this week.
Yeah. So still have positions open in the village, so
There's 6 applicants right now
there's 6.
For the parks.
for the parks one.
Wow.
Or that we get
At
free
least one we
cups.
know. Maybe 2.
All right.
See any names I know.
Anything else?
For me, Jamie, Jess, Pam.
All right.
I had to call her out. She's just sitting back there.
She's busy playing Candy Crush.
Remarks from committee members. All right, the only thing that I've spent a lot of time in state parks this year, and I learned a lot about the Civilian Conservation Corps. And not that I'm suggesting we create a Weston Conservation Corps, but one thought, I guess, question I always wondered is, do you ever get local groups that come to you asking for volunteer projects within the parks? And do we work with them?
We do get some, and yes, we do work with them. Like, I mean, just, we have an Eagle Scout that's gonna redo the gazebo at the farmer's market. We've worked with, what's the name of the group that painted all the bathroom doors for us?
It's a mission group from the church. But they ask us for projects every year. And it's not just they did help a lot with parks last year, but they will also help residents that need things.
Yep. And they've helped out Rothschild previously. And
Yes.
then we got connected with them too.
Yep.
And Conservation Corps, so, they do projects, they recruit people. If we ever want to propose a project for them, I don't know if you've ever read through the process.
No.
But literally you house them, they come and do the labor for free. They provide some of the equipment, but it's literally you have to provide housing and food for them for the 8 or 10 weeks they're here, but they contact us every year. Just wondering if they have a project. I mean, I know the one field out in Mosby was done by Conservation Corps, one of the turf ones. It's been quite a few years, but they brought up earth movers and everything else to work on the project.
Wow, that's outstanding.
It's Backyard Missions, because I don't want to not recognize them because they are
Yeah.
super helpful. Backyard Missions from the New Day Christian.
I didn't remember, that's why I had to call her out on
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
I forgot.
I just think it's cool to put out there and, let people know that there might be volunteer opportunities. I know even my own kids for stuff for school, they're always looking for opportunities. So if there's ever organizations that are looking for stuff and we have minor things we can do, like getting rid of
We had a-
buckthorn.
Right away,
Girl Scouts.
right away, Girl
Come and
Scouts.
clean, do a lot of raking, fall raking or spring raking. We've had
And depending on,
softball groups plant flowers for us.
yeah, it all depends on, some have requirements for volunteer hours too. Also had people volunteer that didn't want to volunteer.
Cause they were naughty.
Voluntold.
That's
Then you
important.
just have to supervise them then.
Yeah. All right,
But yeah, we work with a ton of good ones.
good to hear. All right, any other announcements? Otherwise, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Motion in a second.
Second.
And a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned at 5:29.